Ferrari just revealed the truth, and it's worse than anyone expected for Lewis Hamilton. How did a 7-time world champion end up driving a car that Ferrari had already given up on? In the next few minutes, we'll expose the internal documents, the development freeze, and what really caused Hamilton's failure in Brazil. Because if this is how Ferrari treats the most successful driver in F1 history, what happens next could be career-defining. Lewis Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari to retire. He came to lead. He came to build. He came to win. But after what happened in Brazil and what's now been confirmed internally, it's clear something has shifted. Ferrari's silence is no longer strategy. It's a statement. Behind closed doors, the team has admitted that Hamilton's car will not receive the final rounds of development. Not because of budget. Not because of logistics. But because Ferrari's future is no longer built around him. The confirmation came through a series of technical briefings in Maranello, just days after the Brazilian Grand Prix. Engineering leads were instructed to focus the remaining upgrades on Charles Leclerc's SF25. Revised rear suspension geometry. A lighter floor with updated airflow management. None of it, not a single element, would be sent to car 44. The explanation? Stability in data. But inside the team, everyone knew what it really meant. Leclerc is the priority. Hamilton is now secondary. That brutal decision wasn't announced in a press release. It wasn't explained on camera. It came quietly, with the kind of cold finality that only Formula One politics can deliver. And it hits hardest because it followed Hamilton's most painful weekend of the year. In Sao Paulo, he fought a car that wouldn't rotate, with tires that wouldn't warm, and a floor that shattered after lap 1 contact. By lap 37, the team told him to box. Retire. Save the engine. The data said the fight was over, but the real fight had only just begun. Because in every corner of the paddock, engineers and former drivers saw it clearly, Hamilton wasn't underperforming. He was under-equipped. His setup, his tire prep, even his floor spec outdated. Unoptimized. Unchanged since Mexico. And now we know why. Ferrari had already moved on. The upgrades that could have corrected his issues were already installed, but only on Leclerc's car. And from that moment, it wasn't a two-driver team anymore. The silence after Brazil made it louder. No technical breakdown. No apology. No promise of equality. Just a new narrative emerging from the top. Focus on the future, build around consistency, plan for 2026. Ferrari chairman John Elkann even reinforced it publicly, saying, "We are aligning our efforts around long-term stability." No reference to Hamilton. No credit for his leadership or resilience. Just a corporate signal, subtle, coded, deliberate, that Ferrari's truth is no longer tied to Lewis. But here's what they may have forgotten. Lewis Hamilton has built careers out of proving people wrong. In 2016. In 2021. And now, maybe in red. Because when a driver like Hamilton is underestimated, he doesn't crack. He recalibrates. The question now isn't whether he's still fast enough. It's whether Ferrari has made the mistake of writing him off too early, and too publicly. On paper, the Brazilian Grand Prix looked like a disaster for Lewis Hamilton. 13th in qualifying. Retired on lap 37. A weekend to forget. But when you look beneath the surface, the numbers tell a very different story. Hamilton's problems didn't start in the race, they started the moment he left the garage on Friday. His car, his tires, his floor, all were running under conditions that no world champion could have saved. Let's start with the outlap. Tire temperature is everything in qualifying. Especially at Interlagos, a short, aggressive circuit that demands immediate grip through mid-speed corners. Hamilton's rear tires were over 4 degrees Celsius colder than Leclerc's by the time he began his push lap. That single difference killed his rotation, delayed throttle application, and destabilized his rear end through Sector 2. Leclerc could commit to Turn 8. Hamilton had to correct mid-corner. The stopwatch doesn't lie, 6/10 lost, and no recovery possible. But the race only confirmed what qualifying had exposed. At the start, Hamilton made minor contact in traffic, but it wasn't dramatic. What was dramatic was what happened under the car. Sensors showed a sudden drop in downforce. Post-race analysis revealed floor damage, specifically to the left side of the diffuser. Ferrari estimates it cost him over 30 points of aerodynamic load, a loss that turns any Formula One car into a liability. Despite the damage, Hamilton stayed in the fight. He managed temperatures, adjusted brake balance, modified his corner entries to keep the rear alive. But by lap 37, the data was clear. The floor wasn't recovering. Rear grip had vanished. Engine temps were rising. And Ferrari called it box the car. Save the power unit. Hamilton climbed out, composed, professional, silent. But under that helmet, he knew what the fans already suspected: something wasn't adding up. Why didn't Hamilton receive the latest floor spec? Why was Leclerc's side of the garage granted a revised rear suspension layout and Hamilton left on the old one? And why, despite clear evidence of instability, did Ferrari not shift the tire warm-up procedure to help Hamilton get his rear tires in range? The answer came later. He was not the test case. He was the control. The one gathering data. The one driving the version of the car Ferrari had already decided to leave behind. This wasn't a failure in performance. It was a failure in priority. Ferrari didn't give Hamilton the same tools. They gave him a baseline, asked him to extract miracles, and when the car failed said nothing. No post-race debrief. No media defense. Just silence. But the data was already loud enough. It proved what the world saw. Hamilton wasn't off pace, he was on his own. Behind every race result in Formula One, there's a meeting. And sometime after the United States Grand Prix, Ferrari held the one that changed the game for Lewis Hamilton. In that closed-door technical briefing, the engineering division was told to begin diverting all remaining resources toward a single car, Charles Leclerc's. From that point on, Hamilton's SF25 would no longer receive core upgrades. Not because he didn't deserve them, but because the team had quietly chosen a different path. It started with a shift in development allocation. Engineers were instructed to validate rear suspension tweaks on Leclerc's chassis only. Then came the new floor design, a lighter, more flexible layout with adjusted airflow channels through the diffuser. Again, exclusive to Leclerc. On Hamilton's side, the mandate was simple: hold baseline, preserve consistency, and feed comparative data. That's not a race-winning instruction. That's a test program. What's more revealing is what didn't happen. Hamilton's floor remained unchanged for 3 consecutive rounds: Mexico, Qatar, and Brazil. Even though telemetry confirmed his complaints about rear-end instability and unpredictable corner exits, no revisions were issued to his package. Instead, engineers were told to log his feedback and compare it to the updated model on Leclerc's car. That's how you treat a control subject, not a championship-level contender. The deeper issue wasn't just the parts. It was the philosophy. Leclerc's side of the garage was given license to adapt. Brake migration settings, damper stiffness experiments, and even diffuser rake adjustments were trialed mid-weekend. On Hamilton's side, fixed parameters. A do not disturb approach that protected data flow, but compromised race performance. In essence, Hamilton was no longer helping Ferrari win races. He was helping them understand the next version of their car, even if it cost him results. Inside the paddock, whispers grew louder. Engineers from rival teams noticed the split. Journalists began asking why Hamilton's setups were unchanged week after week. And yet, Ferrari never addressed it publicly. No one admitted that the development path had forked. But in Formula One, silence is confirmation. Especially when one car keeps evolving and the other stays still. And this is where Ferrari's internal truth becomes unavoidable. When a team commits to a single driver for technical evolution, it stops being a two-car operation. It becomes a hierarchy. And Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, the most successful driver of all time, now finds himself driving on the lower step of that hierarchy, in the very team that was supposed to give him a final chapter worthy of his name. After Brazil, there was no technical explanation from Ferrari. No floor analysis. No tire discrepancy breakdown. No apology for the imbalance between both cars. Instead, the team turned the page as if nothing had happened. But behind the scenes, that silence wasn't confusion. It was coordination. Because by the time they arrived back in Maranello, the new direction had already been set in stone. Leclerc would carry the final evolution. Hamilton would carry the consequences. Then came the statement that wasn't a statement. At a public event in Milan, Ferrari chairman John Elkann was asked about driver strategy. He didn't mention Hamilton. Not once. Instead, he delivered a carefully coded line. "We are focusing on drivers who integrate with the car, who build long-term harmony with our systems." To anyone outside F1, that sounds vague. But to anyone inside the paddock, it was crystal clear: Leclerc fits the plan. Hamilton is not part of it. That moment echoed like thunder in the garages. Engineers saw it. Journalists picked it up. Fans knew. The silence from Ferrari was no longer absence, it was declaration. And Hamilton? Still no protest. No media war. No Instagram posts. Just a quiet, calm presence. But for those who followed his career, that quiet is always the calm before the storm. Because Hamilton has always been at his most dangerous when written off. In 2016, when mechanical failures cost him the title. In 2021, when FIA decisions stole a championship. And now again in 2025, where Ferrari politics are trying to rewrite his role as a support act in a show he was hired to lead.